A very interesting report and theory is going around regarding the return of a massive superstar and how they could instantly impact an already ongoing storyline, so let's see what that's about. This storyline in question being Jax and Tiffany Stratton's story. Jax and Tiffany Stratton have a very interesting dynamic going on right now that's very entertaining to watch from week to week. Lots of fans are comparing it to some feuds we've seen in recent years, such as Sasha Banks versus Bayley. You have two superstars who claim to be devoted to each other more than anything, but the both of them are taking glances at each other in that championship, and it looks like they both want the title more than their friendship, so that's going to continue to create some conflict there. The tension between Jax and Tiffany basically started with the championship ceremony that Tiffany held for her. This segment did a great job of highlighting how much Tiffany and Jax actually didn't know each other. Tiffany's party was completely out of theme from Jax's liking, and everything was just so out of place and just not representing Jax in any proper way. So that was a subtle hint there that Tiffany and Jax's friendship may not be as close and personal as they make it out to be. The next big moment there was when Jax demanded for Tiffany Stratton to once again bend the knee and bow down to her as the queen. And suspiciously enough, Tiffany Stratton does everything she can to stall and distract Jax with something else so that she doesn't have to bow down to her. So that once again puts their friendship up in the air. If Tiffany is so loyal to her queen, why didn't she just bow down right away without any hesitation? That segment just included so much subtle little hints that the close friends aren't exactly that close and could be hiding things from each other. And then you follow that up with a near cash-in attempt from Tiffany Stratton. It was made extremely clear that the thought of cashing in during the street fight strongly crossed Tiffany's mind. The only thing that stopped it from happening was that Jax regained consciousness and busted Tiffany in the middle of the act. So that's where their story is at right now, and you can argue that the individual with the main disadvantage here is absolutely Jax. Not only does she have to have her eyes open against the field of challengers that are gunning for her and that women's championship, but she has to constantly look over her shoulder at Tiffany's suspicious behavior. And the one with the advantage here is absolutely fully Tiffany Stratton. She has the contract in hand and basically has the current champion in her pocket. Tiffany could pick her moment at any time and strike on Jax to become the new women's champion when she least expects it. Or Tiffany can even cash it and possibly in the middle of one of Jax's title defenses, turn it into a triple threat and pin someone else to take the title. There's just so many ways to take this situation in. Which brings us to the new report and theory involving a big return taking place within the world of the Jax and Stratton storyline. And this is the idea of Charlotte Flair making her long-awaited return to SmackDown to instantly get involved in the women's championship scene. Charlotte Flair did something similar a few years ago where she returned right away to confront Ronda Rousey and win the women's title during her first night back. So considering Charlotte Flair's history of making big unexpected returns and catching reigning champions by surprise, what if she does it again? What if Charlotte Flair makes her big return to confront Jax and maybe potentially talk her way into a title match? We can sort of assume what Jax will say in a scenario like this. She'll maybe bring out how Charlotte hasn't been around and how she's the last one who deserves a title match. But if Charlotte can keep pushing some buttons and getting under her skin, maybe she really can manipulate the situation and talk herself into that title match. What makes this idea even more interesting is that Flair and Jax have such a rich history together. They had feuds with each other dating back to a few years ago, and they even had some other viral moments like when they allegedly started throwing some real jabs at each other during the middle of a match when things got a bit too intense. So they aren't strangers with each other at all, and have so much history within those ropes, so that history instantly adds some more buzz to the situation. And again, you're talking about a former 14-time champion in Charlotte Flair who has won championship gold in under almost every circumstance, so she's a big threat to any champion at any time. So who knows what happens if Charlotte is able to get Jax to agree to the title match right on the spot. Maybe Charlotte is able to get the upper hand and actually make it look like she's closing in on the title. And this is where Tiffany Stratton comes back into play for the story, because Tiffany will be faced with a big decision within this moment. Tiffany either stands by and does nothing to watch Charlotte Flair win the title from Jax, or Tiffany can get involved in many different ways. She can try and cause a distraction to help Jax retain against Charlotte Flair. Or in a more selfish route, Tiffany can wait until both women really take each other out, and then she'll cash in at the last second to turn it into a triple threat match and escape with the title in a sneaky heel fashion. The fun part about this idea and scenario is that all of the outcomes seem like realistic possibilities. The company can build a lot of hype around a Flair versus Jax match and build it as a Queen versus Queen title match. Jax is the legitimate queen of the ring, while Charlotte's longtime nickname has been the Queen, so there could be some room there to really advertise it as Queen versus Queen with that prestigious championship being on the line as well. And it seems possible for Charlotte to come out on top of that matchup, hold on to her hypothetical crown while also securing her 15th world title, inching closer and closer to tying with her father. It also seems like an ideal situation for Tiffany to truly prove herself as a loyal friend and help Jax defeat Charlotte Flair. Tiffany coming to the rescue against a longtime rival like that for Jax will probably clear her name in Jax's book and prove that she's a loyal friend after all. And it seems possible that Tiffany forgets all that and just takes the spotlight for herself, cashes the contract in during this match and tries to pin Charlotte or Jax for the title. So, as you can see, all three women have a legitimate chance of walking out of this situation as champion. What's also pretty interesting to remember is that this scenario could lead towards a long-time dream that has a lot of backstory to it. We gotta remember that Tiffany Stratton said that her wrestling career and journey all started when she was flipping through the channels one day, and she stopped flipping when she came across Charlotte Flair wrestling in the ring. She said she instantly connected and related to Charlotte because of their similar looks, and Tiffany figured that she can step in the ring and do exactly what Charlotte was doing. And here we are a handful of years later, and Tiffany and Charlotte could be crossing paths for the first time. So just a very cool and unique full circle moment if it does happen. Tiffany has stated in the past that Charlotte is her #1 dream opponent and how she would love to face her on the grandest stage of them all. And it's pretty crazy to think that depending on how the events turn out here in this scenario, it could potentially lead towards a Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair WrestleMania match with the title being on the line. Maybe Tiffany wins the title by pulling off some sneaky cash-in, and it'll be Charlotte who's chasing after Tiffany. So Tiffany's all-time dream match scenario looks like it has a very strong chance of happening in 2025. As far as Charlotte's return itself, reports continue to indicate that she's allegedly set for a late 2024 return on the Smackdown brand. Her husband is already part of the Smackdown roster, so a return to the blue brand does seem realistic. We'll just have to see if Charlotte does get herself tangled up in the Tiffany and Jax situation after all. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below, don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.